new at 6.
Bribery allegations shake up the Student Association presidential elections. We have the latest on the Mastelloni-Brasovsky camp.
Thousands of Verizon employees walked off on the job today, including here in central New York. Find out what it will take to get them back to business.
And Hillary Clinton just received a huge endorsement ahead of the New York State primaries next week. Find out who it was on our road to 2016.
Citrus TV News starts right now.
From the Citrus TV studios, this is Citrus TV News live at 6, your campus news leader.
Good evening and welcome to Citrus TV News live at 6. I'm Max Darrow.
And I'm Hunter Saenz. The SA presidential election has been under the spotlight today. That's our top story tonight. SA presidential hopeful Andrew Brindle dropped out of the race Tuesday night. The junior announced his endorsement of former competitors Charlie Mastelloni and Jessica Brasovsky. Tonight, there are reports alleging that the campaign manager for Mastelloni, Austin Golovsky, promised Brindle a position in the administration in exchange for his endorsement. Golovsky later resigned, saying, quote, "I alone paraphrased the entire conversation that took place with Brindle on Tuesday, and at no point has Brindle or Mastelloni confirmed the allegations that Brindle was promised a position, and they will not because that decision was not made." Again, Golovsky is no longer with the campaign. Citrus TV is currently working to get more information on this story, and we'll bring you more information when we confirm it. Candidates Eric Evangelista and Joyce Lalonde are also still in the running and say they hope the issue gets resolved quickly. The Syracuse graduating class won't be the only people getting degrees on May 15th. 4 honorary degrees will be handed out during commencement. Kevin Bell, the president of the Lincoln Park Zoological Society, Donald Newhouse, president of Advanced Publications, Tobias Wolfe, an award-winning writer, and Floyd Little, a Hall of Fame running back, all will be receiving degrees. Newhouse will also be giving the commencement address.
Didn't get your block party ticket this year? Well, that's not a problem. The University Union announced 3,000 more tickets went on sale on Ticketmaster just this morning. UU had record-setting ticket sales this year by selling out the first 9,800 tickets. Prices will be the same for seats in the third tier of the Carrier Dome.
Serial podcast host and co-creator Sarah Koenig was in Syracuse last night for the final Syracuse University lecture series of 2016. Serial quickly became the most popular podcast in iTunes history with more than 75 million downloads. Koenig gave insight into the first season of the podcast, including exclusive behind-the-scenes stories and explanations into how her and co-creator Julie Snyder worked on the first season of the critically acclaimed podcast.
The New York presidential primary is less than a week away, and with all that, the 2016 candidates are making their last push for support within the state. Presidential candidate Bernie Sanders visited Syracuse yesterday, and our very own Topher Lane was there to see what was going on.
Bernie Sanders held a rally in Syracuse yesterday to a full crowd in the Yonce Center. Just over 5,000 people crammed into the convention center to see Sanders speak. Before Sanders arrived, local musician Joe Driscoll performed for the audience, and Hollywood stars Kendrick Sampson and Rosario Dawson talked about why they believe in Sanders.
And if he tells me that at this juncture in time, he needs to be our president, so we can make the bold changes that we need critically to do, I believe him.
But the real excitement began when Bernie took the stage.
Thank you, Syracuse!
In the second rally of the day for Bernie Sanders here in Syracuse, Sanders talked for over an hour and 15 minutes, and the crowd loved every minute of it.
The biggest talking points included equal pay, justice reform, and sustainable energy.
We will transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy.
But what got the crowd going was when Sanders talked about Republican candidate Donald Trump.
Okay, let me say it again. Donald Trump will not become president.
Some supporters, like Tanya Penafort, explained why they will vote for Sanders.
As a Latina immigrant who has family who are undocumented, I do want Bernie to support the undocumented population in this country, who support the economy, support fellow Americans, and I think he gets it.
Topher Lane, Citrus TV News.
Coming up on Citrus TV after the break, North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory announces possible changes in the state's controversial LGBT law.
And Max, it's a story of determination. What an Arizona woman is crediting for saving her life after being lost in the wilderness for 9 days. But first, here's Nick.
Earlier today, things were totally clear, and that's the story of the rest of the week as well. All that, plus a look ahead at your weekend. For once, I'm not tracking rain or snow, but sun. My full forecast just ahead.
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Search Ready Kids at nyc.gov or call 311.
Wake the sun, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
So they say it's a man's world? I don't see anybody's name on it.
While they were doing their thing, we slowly changed ours.
Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
Nearly 39,000 Verizon landline and cable workers on the East Coast walked off the job this morning, including employees here in Syracuse. The strike comes after little progress in negotiations since their contract expired 8 months ago. The workers are members of 2 unions that represent installers, customer service employees, and other service workers. One protester said they are prepared to stay out as long as it takes. And North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory says he wants to change part of the state's new controversial LGBT law, but not scrap it entirely. McCrory says he is trying to expand government equal employment policies to include sexual orientation and gender, but he says he's standing strong on the provision that restricts transgender people from using the bathroom that aligns with their identification.
Investigators found a loaded gun in the car that New Orleans Saints player Will Smith was driving before he was shot to death. Smith rear-ended Cardell Hayes' Hummer on Saturday, which resulted in a deadly altercation. Hayes has been charged with second-degree murder, but his lawyer says he felt that his life was threatened after he was first rear-ended by Smith's car. And in Arizona, a 72-year-old woman is saying Her wisdom and her memory helped her save her life after she got lost in the Arizona wilderness for 9 full days. Authorities found Ann Rogers and her dog on Saturday after she ran out of gas days before while driving to visit her grandchildren. An aerial search crew spotted the, quote, help signal that Rogers created with sticks and rocks and saved her life. She is being treated for exposure and is expected to be okay.
Thailand's 3-day water festival began this morning in Bangkok. The world's biggest water fight celebrates the country's new year. The water symbolizes washing away past misfortune. Max, did you get that? You might want to pay attention. This year's festival comes as the region is experiencing the most severe drought in decades. Thai authorities have requested that participants avoid using hoses and buckets in consideration for those suffering from the drought. And China's legal system experienced its first same-sex marriage case this week. A judge ruled this morning that gay couples cannot register as married. China typically does not recognize same-sex couples, but LGBT issues have recently become a part of the national conversation. Hundreds of supporters stood outside the court as the case's same-sex couple entered. The judge dismissed the case a few hours after the case started.
Bashar al-Assad will remain in power for just a little bit longer, at least. Syrian citizens in government-controlled areas voted for a new parliament this morning, but they did not vote in a presidential election. Elections are held every 4 years, although these have been widely considered to be staged. Around 35,000 government-approved candidates are running for a new 250-member parliament. Results are expected tomorrow. And Spanish police arrested a Frenchman suspected of supplying arms to a Paris gunman who killed 4 people at a supermarket in January of 2015. The Frenchman is suspect of fleeing the country shortly after the attack. 17 people in total were murdered in 3 days during the violence in Paris just last year.
Well, Max, we did happen to see the sun today, but it could be our last cold day for a while.
Well, Hunter, you might want to pay attention to Nick Ross's full weather forecast, which will tell you what to expect coming up this week.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Here was the look outside. Earlier today, you can see no rain on the map. A little bit of snow, a little bit of mix off to the northwest, but that actually shouldn't be in the area for too much longer. As we take a look out at the Futurecast, this is the next 24 hours, and I swear to you, this is a radar. It's actually moving, but there's nothing on it for once. I can't remember the last time we had that happen. No snow, no rain in the forecast in the upcoming days. I'll show you that in the full 5-day. As we look out at the almanac, we mentioned, yeah, it was a colder day today. We're still sitting a little bit below average. The average high would be about 57 for the month of April. Today, the average is right around 56, so not too far below the averages, but the good news is warmer weather on the way that is well above the averages for the month of April and for today, for that matter. As we look out at the current conditions, 45 degrees outside right now. Cloudy skies. Winds are staying relatively calm, though. And as we look out at tonight, 25 degrees, though. Those temperatures are still going to cool down quite a bit overnight. Partly cloudy overnight, but those winds stay relatively calm as well. As we look out at the full 5-day forecast, sun across the board. When's the last time we saw that? 55 degrees, your high on Thursday. 62 degrees, your high on Friday. Now, take a look at those temperatures overnight, though. 31 degrees, so temperatures still cool down quite a bit overnight. But that high on Sunday, 71 degrees. That's the highest we've seen in quite some time. A little bit of rain does move back in, though, on Monday.
So, Nick, I see sun, 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 and more sun. That's
Absolutely.
a nice thing. However, is it going to be windy? The sun can't stop the wind.
Wind will actually be relatively calm, which is always nice to see in Syracuse. So those temperatures should feel close to what they actually are on the screen. So.
All right, and you're talking about 70-degree weather this weekend, but is it here to stay for the rest of this spring?
Well, that rain is going to come in, bring a little bit cooler weather, though hopefully things won't cool down quite as much as we've been seeing this week. Shouldn't have any snow to worry about either.
All right, Nick Ross, thanks for joining us. And coming up, Hillary Clinton receives a key endorsement ahead of the New York primaries.
And Paul Ryan denounces any possibility of a 2016 presidential campaign. Stay tuned for more when we return on the road to the White House.
Hey, my name's Katie and I'm in the 9th grade. I'm an A average student and I'm an athlete working towards a scholarship. And everybody tells me how much potential I have. But I just wish someone would tell me where my next meal is coming from. Katie, how'd I do?
Do you have to be so serious?
Well, I mean, I did like a crazy dance in a movie if you want me to, like, you know, do a little, no.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
They're coming. Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Just days ahead of the New York State primary, the New York Daily News editorial board says it's endorsing Hillary Clinton for president. The editorial board says Clinton is clear-eyed about what's wrong with America, and she holds firm to what's right with America. On the other hand, the paper says Sanders is utterly unprepared for what office with what he says are politically impossible policy stances.
Our Republican system is absolutely rigged. It's a phony deal.
Phony deal said by Donald Trump, a phrase you may have heard before, and you can tell right there that he is fired up about the RNC's convention process, which he says protects party insiders and shuts out insurgent candidates just like himself. But RNC Chairman Reince Priebus says this process has been known and that it's the responsibility of the candidates to understand it. This comes just as Ted Cruz has gathered a large portion of delegates after recent state primaries.
House Speaker Paul Ryan is telling everyone to count him out of the 2016 presidential race. Ryan said in a press conference Tuesday that he does not want nor will he accept the Republican nomination. Ryan is instead focused on spurring a move away from identity politics and moving towards a battle of ideas between conservatives and the liberals in the campaign.
If no candidate has a majority on the first ballot, I believe that you should only choose from a person who has actually participated in the primary. Count me out. I simply believe that if you want to be the nominee for our party, to be the president, you should actually run for it. I chose not to do this. Therefore, I should not be considered, period, end of story.
The 5 biggest banks in the United States are failing in their lack of crisis plans, according to federal regulators. J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Bank of New York Mellon, and State Street are all under the microscope for inadequate plans that would leave them, quote, unable to cope with financial distress without another taxpayer bailout. 2 federal agencies have found the bank's plans not credible. The banks have until October 1st to fix the problems or face much stricter penalties.
A consumer alert tonight, you might want to check your refrigerator. Macaroni, tuna, and potato salads distributed by Resser's Fine Foods were recalled this morning after fears of listeria. The Oregon-based food producer's products are sold in 29 states under the company's brand and also other private branding like Deli Counter, which is sold in Walmart. As of now, no illnesses have been reported.
Retail store sales fell in March after the U.S. Commerce Department found that Americans are buying fewer cars, among other products. There was a 2.1% drop in car sales, the steepest fall in more than a year. This is the latest sign of consumers reluctantly willing to spend their money freely. Despite steady job gains and lower gas prices, American consumers are being more cautious than economists expected.
Coming up next in sports, another overtime game for Syracuse men's lacrosse, which has meant trouble for the Orange in recent weeks. We'll tell you how this one ended against Cornell. That's all when we come back.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Syracuse lacrosse is in a bit of disarray right now, having lost 3 of its last 4 heading into last night's matchup against New York rival Cornell. And the overtime games have been tough for SU as well. Syracuse fell to Johns Hopkins and Duke in OT just a few weeks ago, which is a little bit of a spoiler that this one would head to the extra frame as well. Let's take a look at those highlights. The Cuse, the Orange, and the Big Red last night at Shocklop Field. If I said that right, say that 10 times fast. Here's Syracuse on the attack in the first quarter, and scoring there, it's Nick Mariano to give Syracuse a 3-1 lead. So it was looking good for the Orange early down in Ithaca. Then, though, for Cornell, they would battle back. Clark Peterson from Anthony Teixeira with 1 second left in the quarter. Watch this. It looked like the quarter was over, and Evan Malloy thought so too. He was confused, but Cornell scores. Malloy out of the net, and an easy goal there for the Big Red. Third quarter, skip ahead to the second half. Kaysen Tarbell from Andrew Keith ties it up at 7 with 6 seconds to play in the third. So the end of the quarter was not too kind for the Orange. But how about that shot from Mariano? SU back in front 9-8. But then late in the game, Dan Bockelman, Cornell from Colton Rupp ties it up at 9. And the fans in Ithaca were going crazy. A good student crowd on hand for Cornell. In overtime, Ryan Matthews gets the game winner, and Cornell wins it 10-9 over the Orange. Here's head coach John Desko after the SU loss.
I thought the effort was terrific, and I can't blame anybody. All we can ever ask is effort, and we made some tough decisions, and I think they played well defensively. But now we got to put this one behind us really quickly here, and focus on UNC.
We have a great team, and I think that we all have great heads on our shoulders, and we know what we have to do to win. And North Carolina's coming to the Dome, and they're in for a tough one. So we're going to give it our all this week in practice, and we're going to play hard.
And while the men are in a tough spot right now, Syracuse women's lacrosse was also in a 1-goal game last night, but Gary Gates' squad edged out Albany. 8-7 was the final score out in Albany. Nicole Levy scored what turned out to be the game-winning goal that gave SU an 8-5 lead with 10.5 minutes left. Next up, it's a matchup with North Carolina on Saturday as both men's and women's lacrosse face the Tar Heels in the Dome. Again, that's on Saturday. SU softball with a doubleheader today down at Skytop Softball Stadium. That's in progress currently, and SU won the first game 4-0 over Canisius. Second game right now, again, in progress. Syracuse is coming off a series win over Virginia last weekend, where it took 2 of 3. The Orange sitting just above 500 on the season, now at 20-17. Tonight, an entire career comes to an end for an NBA great. Kobe Bryant is set to play his last game of his career, his 20-year career, tonight when the Lakers host the Utah Jazz. Bryant has played his entire career with the Lakers, winning 5 NBA titles. He's been selected to 18 All-Star games. Kobe tried to put into words what tonight's game will mean.
I mean, it's one of those moments. You know, I think we all have moments like this in life where it just seems like that day is never going to end. You know, it just seems like the moment that you're in just feels like the darkest moment to you, you know, and at that point you really kind of have to step outside of yourself and put it in perspective. I think I'll be okay. You know, I think that comes from how I learned how to play the game, which, you know, I learned how to play the basics of the game first, the fundamentals, the footwork, you know, spacing, moving without the ball, thinking through things, and I think that's helped me now.
That game tonight at 10:30. Also tonight, some Stanley Cup playoff action. The race for the Stanley Cup begins tonight with 3 matchups. Detroit takes on Tampa Bay. That's at 7. New York takes on Pittsburgh. The Rangers against the Penguins. And then the late one at 9:30, the Blackhawks against the Blues. Stanley Cup playoffs beginning tonight. And also, guys, the Warriors, Golden State Warriors, going for an NBA record 73 wins tonight at the same time as Kobe's game. So a huge sports night.
Tim, my team, you think they're going to win?
I think so. I think they won 3 in a row. We thought maybe they wouldn't even get to this point. You have to finish it off tonight.
Well, Tim, thanks for being with us. We will be right back on Citrus TV News.
Thank you, dear. Well, you're very supple. Just like I was at your age. Back then, I was a sex expert. Used to call me the buttered biscuit. I know about birth control, too. So you can ask me anything, baby.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
Have you had sex in this car yet?
If I got to go to college, oh my goodness. I like discovering new things. You get to see what works for you and what doesn't. That helps you evolve as a person. And you get to make like a supernova of skill or talent or whatever it is. I've always wanted to go to college. I just feel like that's my destiny. My name is Queen, and I am your dividend.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
So, Nick, tomorrow's beautiful weather. What are you going to wear tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning when we wake up, it's still going to be a little chilly. We're going to want to take a jacket. About 34 degrees tomorrow, but the good news is sun and things will only warm up from there.
All right, I'm less interested in what you're going to wear tomorrow, personal preference, but what about this weekend?
This weekend, things are going to look much nicer. 71 degrees your high on Sunday, 67 degrees your high on Saturday, sunny all the way through until Monday. No rain to worry about, much warmer temperatures than we've been seeing.
It'll be a good weekend to go play some tennis, play some golf.
Absolutely. Go outside, enjoy the fresh air.
All right, well, we will certainly try to enjoy it, that's for sure. That's all the time we have for Citrus TV News live at 6. I'm Hunter Saenz.
And I'm Max Darrow. Make sure to check us out on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and stay updated with the Student Association election. Have a great night, Syracuse.
Take it easy.